Patch notes are out. Oh, link me, link me, link me, link me, link me, link me now. Oh, holy fuck, let's go. Okay. Okay. Ooh, lots of good stuff here. Challenge is a great opportunity. All of your old characters and items are still present in the standard. Okay, with 3.60, they are standard, hardcore, and soul self-found variations of the synthesis challenge leagues available. They all have the same core mechanics. You can create private leagues. Yes, okay. Create private leagues. In the synthesis challenge, you'll meet Cavis, a lingering spirit who has lost his memories. He needs your help to piece together his past and discover the secrets that have been isolated in his mind. Help him by exploring lost memories and activating memory stabilizers. The memories degrade, and if you linger too long or take a wrong turn, you may degrade with them. Successfully stabilizing the memory will allow Cavis to store it within the memory nexus. By visiting this nexus, you can use it to build a path to distant memories. These are basically maps, customizable maps is what he's talking about. Basically maps that you can build yourself with specific modifiers. You can craft powerful new implicit modifiers, which means that you can craft something that doesn't actually change on a roll. So like you can craft 100 life on something and then it doesn't actually change when you reroll it with like a chaos or an exalt or a chaos. Which modifiers you get depends on the mods contained by the synthesizer. What can you create? The new challenge league includes a set of 40 new challenges. I never do challenges, so I don't care. From the 19th challenge onwards and every third challenge after that, you perceive pieces of synthesis totem pole decoration. Yeah, okay. Major new content and feat. I'm so excited. Let's go. Oh, man. Added a new intelligence and strength gem, Purifying Flame. A wave of divine fire deals damage in a line and creates consecrated ground. Deals damage in an area around the target location. A larger shockwave that expands outwards, damaging enemies staying on consecrated ground that were not already hit. Added a new intelligence skill gem, Soul Rend. Releases a projectile that moves towards and past enemies. Okay. Dealing chaos damage to enemies that hits and leeching a portion of the damage is energy sealed. That is so cool. So this is potential open up for like CI builds maybe? For a leech ability? Super cool. Applies a debuff that deals chaos damage over time, as well as any linked cursors to enemies in the area. Debuff deals more damage over time and lasts longer for each curse bane applies. Also interesting. So very good for support classes. Sends a rolling wave of energy forward in a widening cone for duration. Physical, fire, and lightning damage. That means it hits. And applies a debuff which lowers enemy resistance to an element of which the most damage was dealt. This is super cool too, because this opens up for a lot of possible like elemental builds. Cast an aura that causes you and your allies to deal more spell damage and grants increased critical strike with spells. Also great. So again, buffing casting, like they said that they were going to do in the manifesto. Making right-click abilities stronger, basically, is what these are. Deals physical and lightning damage to nearby enemies and grants stages while channeling, granting additional stages based on nearby enemies you damage. Cool. I'd have to see that work. I'm not sure how that works yet. When you stop channeling, unleash a powerful beam of energy dealing more damage per stage. Awesome. Sounds cool. Cast an aura that grants increased skill duration for you and your allies and causes you and your allies to deal more damage over time. Increased skill duration is super interesting for builds like, that would be like a core item from Winter Orb. So if you get that in like Shapers, maybe you can just do like a whole map without activating Winter Orb. Also, I wonder if the text there is intentional, more damage over time. If that's true, then that is really, really strong. And I think like everybody would run Benevolence if it was more damage, because more damage is like way bigger than increased damage, right? Supported skills leech a portion of the damage they deal hit back as energy shield. Whoa. So CI builds, basically builds that rely on energy shield for health instead of health are going to be super good. Or at least viable. Way more viable now. I see a lot of witches this league. Supported skills have less area of effect but deal more area damage per intensity. Supported skills gain intensity when used and lose intensity while moving or teleporting. Supported skills have less area of effect but deal more area of effect damage per intensity. I don't understand what it means by intensity. Supported skills gain intensity and lose intensity when moving and teleporting. So basically, I think this is a buff to like standing and casting. Why is more damage more than increased damage? So increased damage, like 50% increased damage, is just it would be 50%. So more damage is actually an exponential. It's multiplicative, and increased damage is just added damage, basically. Added a lot more music. I love it. Added 5 more hideouts. Love it. 17 unique items. Awesome. 15 divination cards. Amazing. Fractured and synthesized items. Great. No longer supports Windows XP and Vista. RIP. Xana's model's been updated. Okay. Unique axe now occasionally plays sounds during combat. Okay. Hitting enemies now causes especially wholly on hit effect to play. That's cool. Veil skills now have appropriate surge effects. Don't know what that means. Skills while involved destroying corpses now cause the gibs left with those corpses to disappear after a delay. Probably good. Probably prevents people from dying so much to detonate dead. Improved performance and number of boss fights. Cool. Added energy shield leech. This is a functionality similar to life leech, except it leeches to your energy shield and is limited by your maximum energy leech rate. Several passive skills cluster have been added to support this new form of leech. I love this. Completely adds a totally different way to play the game. We've played with energy shield before. So in Path of Exile, there's health and energy shield. There's your shield and there's your health. And energy shield is awesome. A lot of people used it even without this functionality. This will make these builds really strong. This is going to be like energy shield is super good to go right now. Ghost Reaver now allows you to leech energy instead of life and doubles your maximum energy leech rate. Wow. Added a cap of the amount of any resource you can leech from any individual instance of leech. By default, that cap is 10% of that resource's maximum. In other words, a character with 4,000 life will be able to leech a maximum of 400 life from a single hit. That is quite a nerf. That's a pretty big nerf. So, wow, that's a huge nerf. But I think probably makes sense. Because otherwise you could just leech infinitely and never die. Okay. Yeah. Remove the minimum and maximum critical strike chance craps. Previously, characters had a 5% chance to deal a critical strike with attacks and spells. Even when the spell's specified, I'm going to switch categories real quick. Even when the spell specified lower chance, they could reach a 95% chance to critically strike. In practice, that cap was ignored by effects which applied to enemies such as Assassin's Mark. We have changed several of these external critical strike stars to remove the cap as a result. Okay. It's a huge buff to crits and huge buff to spells. Spells are just crazy now. Brittle Ailment now has a 10% chance to critically strike. With spells, the chance is further increased by sources of increased critical strike chance, whereas previously, as a result of the bug, it was not. Added a maximum resistances maximum. You can no longer have your max resistances raised above 90% from any source. That's fine. Yeah, that's probably exactly that. Like it's a nerf technically, but people were using some crazy game mechanics to get to that, and 90% is still unbelievably high. You'd have to have 15% additional all res on your max resistances to get that. So I'm fine with that nerf. That's totally cool. I think anything above that is balls to the wall crazy. Improved many cases of damage mitigation being applied before an incoming hit was registered, which could cause a character that would otherwise take reduced damage to take more damage than expected. A monster attacks you, use a mortal call after the attack is used, but before it lands, you'll now correctly mitigate this damage. This was previously not the case. Huh. So does that mean that lowers the ability of one-shots a little bit in certain circumstances? Change doesn't really matter, but might be good for hardcore in some places. You die a little bit less. Wolves and skeletons summoned now die when summoning character does a respawn. Doesn't matter. Concentrated ground affects allies and enemies. Effects granted while consecrated ground from sources such as ascendancies will be granted regardless of whether the consecrated ground was created by you or an ally or an enemy. Okay, doesn't matter really. Modifiers which previously affected the cast speed and duration of curses now instead affect curse skills. Okay. And nerfs. Oh baby, and buffs. Okay, Flame Totem has been renamed. It's now the Holy Flame Totem. Okay. Now creates consecrated ground at the totem's location, which grants curse immunity. That's good. Now deals physical damage and converts 50% physical damage to fire damage. Now deals 3 to 5 physical damage at gen level 1, up to 3. I don't know enough about Path of Exile to know damage values. This is some big brain stuff. To know if the damage values are good. 134 to 202 at gem level 20 from 122 to 183. So about a 20% buff. Costs 11 mana up to 39 mana from 42. Added damage effectiveness of 30% from 25. Now fires 2 additional projectiles at all levels. Cool. 2 additional projectiles is actually really big and has 20% more totem life and 1% increased projectile speed per 1% quality. Previously 1% increased life per 1%. So it's a pretty significant buff. This is kind of cool. Be kind of fun to play with. Flame totems. You could do like a Juggernaut totem dude. Be kind of fun. Stormburst no longer fires projectiles, now creates orbs of energy. When you channel, then repeated jumps towards the target location until their duration expires, dealing damage in a small area. When you stop channeling, all remaining orbs explode. Now has a cast time of 0.25 seconds. Mana cost is 2, was 4. So this is like a right-click ability. This sounds really cool. Mana costs a lot less, now deals physical damage and converts physical to lightning. Mana cost was Abyssal Cry is 10. Okay, Animate Guardian is now 11, was 19. Animate Weapon was 7, was 9. These are just mana changes. Anger was buffed. 16 to 23 additional fire damage from 12 to 21. And 109 to 155. So Anger is stronger. 15 to 21 from 10 to 16, and 99 to 40 from 69 to 12. Anger got like a 30% buff. Mana cost at gem level 1 is now 8, was 9. Cast time of 0.7, so casting's faster. Now deals 6 to 33 lightning damage to 133 to 744 from 152. So Arc was buffed in terms of damage, but now has an added damage effectiveness from 80%. So damage effectiveness nerfed by 10% and lowered the range at which Arc can change from 50 units to 25 units. Huh. We'd have to playtest this a little bit because it does more damage, casts faster, but has a little bit less effectiveness. But I don't know if the Arc changes. They make a really big difference in like big dense maps. So it's a nerf, but I don't know if the skill is not viable now because the damage went up. And the cast time went up too. So I think Arc is still really good. 25 units is like, the question is how often are you going to see 25 units on the map versus 50? Probably going to see 25 units on the screen most of the time. So I think Arc is probably still really good. It was the best, that was the best build you could build in Betrayal. Last league. Mana cost at gem level 1 is now 8 for Arctic Breath. Gem level 20 is now 23. Okay, doesn't matter. Cast time is 0.7. Damage buffed quite a bit. Damage is buffed a lot. It does a lot of damage. Arctic Breath is always kind of a bad skill. Now deals 16.7 base cold damage per second at gem level 1 from 9.2. So that's doubled basically. And 1383 from 1089. And damage effectiveness went up 20%. So Arctic Breath is super good, but it's just hard to use, so it's probably still not going to be used. Oh my god, there are so many changes, literally almost to everything in the game. Armageddon Brand does 29 to 43 fire damage. And so this is another, like, so basically all these spells being buffed by like 20-30%. But damage effectiveness went down? Huh. So when we say damage effectiveness, what does that mean? The stat related spells which serves to limit the potential of base damage added from other sources. Right, okay. So this is very significant. Assassin's Mark. Hits have more crit. Cool. Ball Lightning. Damage was increased by like 10% with a little bit more effectiveness. Yeah, added damage, Lemmy Winks. That's right. Blade Vortex. 5% damage effectiveness nerf. 3 to 5 physical damage from 7 to 10. And 105 to 151 from 123 to 185. Whew. About a 20% nerf on Blade Vortex. Probably needed it. Savage, though. Would not use Blade Vortex. Blade Fall, 44 to 66 from 44 to 65. Who cares? Like a 1% nerf. But at later levels, pretty significant. Or 1% buff or whatever. No thoughts on Blade Fall. Blight. 3.1 base chaos damage per second at gem level 1. So that's nearly tripled. And so it's about a 30% buff on the later end. It's pretty good. And additional radius. Up to +6. I think that Blight's pretty good. I had a Blight build once. It's just not as good as like Arc or any of these other things. Like all these just had mana reduced. Blood Rage mana reduction is cool. Cleave can now affect up to 40 targets from 20. That's cool. Still not usable, really. Now deals 32 to 47 damage from 24 to 35, like 30% increase. But total damage is the same. And 23 base damage per second. That's a big increase. A little bit better. Desecrate, Despair, Detonate Dead. Got buffed. Okay. By like 20%. There are so many changes. This is crazy. Enduring Cry, mana cost dropped. Enfeeble now causes normal and magic enemies to deal 21% less damage, up to 30% less damage at gem level 20. Now causes rare and uniques to deal 10% less damage, up to 15% less damage. So that's a buff to being able to curse bosses, right? Which is really good. Essence Drain explodes on impact, gives the debuff to everybody. The explosion deals no hit damage. As a result of this change, now is the area type gem. Ooh. So you can put area stuff in it. 19 to 14 chaos damage from 6 to 9. And 433 to 649. So almost a 30 or 40% buff. And all around. And this is really good. Essence Drain was already pretty good. Now it's nuts. They also added base damage. 10 more base damage. And 400 more base damage per second at gem level 20. Essence Drain is actually nuts. That is a very viable skill now. Jesus. That's a super good skill now. Essence Drain is really viable, especially with Energy Leech. So you could do Energy Leech Essence Drain, and you could just focus on shield. You'd be strong because they also increased Blight too. So this is great. Essence Drain is very buffed. That is a very buffed skill. Mana cost is now Ethereal Knives. Gem level 20 is 20 is 23. Okay, no one cares. 7 to 10 from 6 to 9. And 633 to 949 from 4. Whoa. Now is an added damage effectiveness of 120. What? Oh, that's crazy. Ethereal Knives is boosted. That is a really big change to Ethereal Knives, especially at the late game. Skill is very viable now. Very viable. I think Essence Drain is super good, though. Just because of that chaos base damage. That's so good. I don't know why they boosted Ethereal Knives. Because you could make a lot of builds off of this now. Fire Nova Mine. Okay, it's whatever. Explosive traps, whatever. Fireball's okay. Actually, Fireball's quite good. 180, but it's just, I don't know, right-click casting Fireball just seems kind of weird. Firestorm. Meaningless change. Doesn't matter. Flame Dash, reduced cost. Flame Surge. Gains length as the gem levels. Flame Blast, don't care. Freeze Mine, no change. Flamethrower Trap, okay. Freezing Pulse. 8 to 12 cold damage at level 1 from, okay, not really meaningful. 822 from this. So not really a meaningful change, but, oh, that was an added damage effectiveness of 150%. So Freezing Pulse, my first character ever in the game was a Freezing Pulse character, and Freezing Pulse is pretty good. That's a big added damage effectiveness change, 25% up, plus a little bit more base damage at about 15% base damage increase at level 20. Super good. Frost Wall, okay. Frost Bomb. Now applies cold exposure to affected enemies. Don't know what that means. Glacial Cascade. Ooh. 37 to 56 from 48 to 72. A nerf to Glacial Cascade. Big nerf, 20% damage nerf. And the same at the higher end. So nobody uses Glacial Cascade ever again. There are way better builds like Arc and EK. Ground Slam, doesn't matter. Nobody will use it. Hatred now causes you and your allies to deal 14% more cold damage at gem level 1. Up to 18% more cold damage at level 12 at 20. And your allies gain 15% physical damage, 16% physical damage as extra cold damage from 26%. And 25. So a nerf on physical damage to extra cold, but gives more damage. So I don't know what Hatred did before, but I think this is a buff to Hatred. Pretty sure it is. It kind of depends what you're doing. So it's like a buff if you're going to run like something with cold damage. But it's not as good if you have like Fizz and you want to deal cold damage, which is probably good. Yeah. See, this is just like what it should be used for. We're not even halfway. This is nuts. So Ice Nova. No one cares. I think anybody's going to use this. Ice Spear. Nobody cares. Ice Trap. That is an insane buff to Ice Trap. Does anyone? I've never heard of anyone ever using this skill, and I don't even know what it does. But Jesus, that is an insane increase. Look at that. 88 to 133 from 67 is like a 40% increase. Then 898 to 347 from 579 to 869. It's like a 50% increase, and it has an added damage effectiveness up 40%. So if you can find a way to put Ice Trap into your build and then toss Hatred on there, that's pretty good. That's gonna, I don't know how Ice Trap even works, or if you can like use a lot of it. I don't get traps. I've never had a trap build, and I don't think I really like traps. But if you want a trap, this is gonna do a lot of damage. I feel like you could just take an old Arc Trap build and build it with Ice Trap. Yeah, you could. I think so, because it's just such a nutty buff. It has some of the highest damage effectiveness of anything in the game. This is a really, really strong... this is too strong now, if you find a way to incorporate it. I don't even know what Ice Trap does. Okay, so he like drops the traps. Yeah, so basically just AoEs. This is going to be that much bigger with that much more damage. So Ice Trap is going to be nuts. Ice Trap is going to legit be insane. Lightning Spire. Honestly, that might be one of the strongest skills in the game. Just the damage effectiveness. And then the buff to Hatred for more cold damage. Lightning Trap is better too. Really good increase. Not quite as much as Cold Snap or Cold Traps, but still very good. Lightning Trap's still very good. Magma Orb. Damage up a bit. Orb of Storms. Pretty good buff. Phase Run. Projectile Cat. 13 base fire damage up from 1. Wow, Scorching Ray got damage increased. That's 100 base damage at level 20. No longer lowers enemy resistance with a stacking debuff. That's a pretty big nerf. And now applies fire exposure. I don't know what fire exposure is. Maximum stacks. Yeah, I still don't like traps, just like plain traps, but for people that like traps, this is a very good patch. Woo-wee, that increased to Shock Nova. 40 or 50% damage increase. And Spark is a little better. Clears its last hit list every 0.66 seconds. The same projectile can hit the same monster more frequently. That's probably a pretty huge buff. Stormbrand, 2 to 7 from 3 to 8. A little bit of a nerf. So about 10, 15% damage nerf plus 5%. Stormbrand nerfed quite a bit. Temporal chains. I don't understand. I have to research this boss change, like how this works. Vol dead. Slight damage nerf, not meaningful. Still good. Vortex. Feel like nobody uses this skill. Winter Orb now deals 25 to 31 cold damage at gem level 1. Increase. They increase Winter Orb's damage, but they decrease it on the late end. That's probably right. And a pretty major nerf to effectiveness too, 10%. They're changing them separately to allow other curses actually be effective against bosses. I see. Veil Void Vortex. Just adjusting. Jesus, this is so many patch notes. Oh my god. I can't believe how much they changed in 3 months. Arcane Surge now causes supported skills to deal 10% more spell damage when you have Arcane Surge at gem level 1, up to 19% at gem level 20. And a mana multiplier of 130. Arcane Surge is pretty good now. Supported skills deal 30% less damage at gem level 1. 11% at gem level 20, up from 31%. 120 chaos damage for DK support. My brain is shutting down because I haven't eaten in 4 days and I'm trying to comprehend this galaxy brain stuff. Okay. 120 chaos damage per second at gem level 1. 843 up from 675. Innervate now adds 2 to 29 from 14 to 21. Now lasts 8 seconds at all gem levels. Innervate's cool. It's a lot more lightning damage. No longer grants life leech per second based on gem quality. Now causes supported skills to deal 10% increased damage while leeching life at 20% quality. Okay. Same with mana leech. Now grants supported skills a 10% chance of hitting a unique enemy to grant onslaught for 3 seconds. Okay. Onslaught's still very good. Okay. I can't. I'm gonna go eat. I gotta go eat, man. It's the end of my fast in 30 minutes. So I'm gonna go walk home and get some food. Well, we are doing a PoE planning stream tomorrow where we will talk about a lot more of this, and then we'll interpret these changes. And I could also do a little bit more reading on it and everything, but that's it for now. That's the end for now.